Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Aloha! Welcome to 3 Levels of Enlightenment. This is program 1.1, the imminent reversal of the direction of rotation of the planet Mars. This is the first program in a series sponsored by the United Galactic Federation of Planets, or UGFP, as you can see in front of me. My name is Merlin, and I'll be your tour guide. We're coming to you from the Gilbert Ray Campground in Tucson Mountain County Park here in Tucson, Arizona. You may hear a symphony of voices all around me. It's morning and we have birds chirping everywhere. They make quite a sound. Standing behind me is my good friend Roy, and on my left is his partner Dale. Roy and Dale are a hats off to Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. Cal Worthington was an auto dealer in Northern California, and all those of you that are in that viewing area may remember his very clever commercials in which his dog Spot was never a dog. It was always something much more interesting. Likewise, my friends Roy and Dale. They are giant saguaro cactuses, magnificent creations of nature that are found in this part of the world. We're joined by other fascinating plants like prickly pear cactus, barrel cactus, jumping choyas, palo verdes, mesquite, and many other beautiful creations of nature. We also have coyotes, mountain lions, lynx, bobcats, deer, rabbits, snakes, quail, roadrunners, doves, pigeons, hummingbirds, and lots of other beautiful wildlife throughout this park. Both this park and the Saguaro National Park next door are great places to visit, as well as Old Tucson Movie Studios across the road and the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum just down the road. Over the past 12 years, my wife Moana and I have been given information concerning our world and future events. We always share this information with everyone we know, but when the event occurs, they then forget and say, "Why didn't you tell us?" By producing these videos, we can now say, "We did tell you." We intend to produce about 5 dozen programs. We hope that these videos will become the most important series of programs in the history of television. The information in this particular program, the imminent reversal of the direction of rotation of the planet Mars, has grave implications. But this information is not meant to frighten or scare you. It's merely meant to inform you. There's a reason for all the unexplained events that are happening in our world today. From the predictions about 2012 to the oxygen readings in Los Angeles and San Francisco of 12%, and in Tokyo as low as 7%, when the oxygen should be at 21%, to earthquakes, flood, tsunamis, hurricanes, megastorms, winter tornadoes, and thundersnow, to disappearing honeybees, mass extinctions, birds falling from the sky, fish kills, and marine animal beachings, to the answer if oil is fossil or abiotic, to women getting pregnant after radical hysterectomies, to near-death experiences, UFOs, aliens, and ghosts, to the 2008 stock market crash, the 2009 market rebound, the 2010 market flash crash, and all of the bankruptcies and job losses, to the Oklahoma City federal building bombing, all the events of 9/11 and the Iraq and Afghan wars, to the reason that Saddam could not have had nuclear weapons and why the terrorists can never nuke the United States, to the presidential elections of 2000 and 2004, and the reason why George W. Bush had to be president of the United States. All of these events can be explained, and you have a right to know. But if you take nothing else from these programs, we hope you will come away knowing that you and the rest of us are truly loved by the millions of others beyond our world. In the words of our sponsors, may this message fill you with joy, serenity, and determination. I'd now like to explain why these programs are entitled The 3 Levels of Enlightenment. Our sponsors are sensitive to the feelings and beliefs of all of you. Our sponsors do not want to offend anyone, so as a precaution, the programs have been sorted out into 3 categories, levels 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is for all audiences and is rated PG-13. No one should be offended by the information offered at this level, but parents are cautioned that this level may not be appropriate for young children. Level 2 is only for people who believe in angels and is rated R. It is not for children. Adults who don't believe in angels may also be offended and are cautioned not to watch. Level 3 will definitely offend certain groups and is rated XXX, triple X. It is absolutely not for children and is likely not for some adults. Those groups that will be offended include 1. People with a strong belief in religion. 2. People with a strong belief in science. And 3. People with a strong belief in our government's official explanations of events. Anyone in these groups should not watch. If you tune in after the program has started, when the level was first announced, you'll still be able to identify the level being discussed in several ways. On the board behind me are the words level and number corresponding to today's program. The tray in front of me has a placard with the letters PG-13. This is a level 1 program and it's rated PG-13. During the programs that are levels 2 or levels 3, the basket in front will hold placards indicating R for a level 2 program and triple X for a level 3 program. In addition, you will be able to determine the level of the program by the shirt that I'm wearing. Today I have on a Hawaiian shirt. This is a level 1 program, and level 1 programs will always have a Hawaiian shirt. So our next program will have a yellow shirt like this one, Hawaiian shirt, in which I'll explain magnetism by the use of a screwdriver that we actually magnetize and a portable drill. The third program at this level involves water, and I wear this shirt for that program, and we talk about all the water on this planet and the effect that it will have when something happens. The third program, I wear this shirt, and in this case I talk about yardangs. These are geological features that you find throughout the western United States, and it helps to show where the water came from. You'll see more of this in the fourth program. The fifth program, I will have this shirt on, and in that program we talk about salt and all the salt deposits and salt lakes around our planet. Another sign of what's to come. And the following program will have this shirt where I talk about 2012 in culture and history around our world. The second level programs involve angels, and the first program is entitled Angels, and on that program I'm wearing this shirt. Angels play a very important role in our world today. Here's a beautiful Indian angel, and they're real hams. They like to show up in our pictures. We'll talk about that, and also how they take care of us. And you will see other plaid shirts indicating level 2. It might be a blue plaid or a yellow plaid and so forth. And then the last level is level 3, and on those programs I will have on a white shirt. These are the most controversial of all the programs. There are many of you that should not watch this program, this level program, because you will be offended. So please evaluate what levels might cause you to be offended, then watch accordingly. This disclaimer will be provided for the first few programs at each level, then it will be discontinued in the interest of saving time. We look forward to posting these programs on the internet, and we are limited to 15 minutes per program, So in order to pack in as much information as possible, time is of the essence. I'd now like to share with you our humble story. My wife and I have homes on the Big Island of Hawaii, in Northern California, and here in Tucson, Arizona. It turns out there's an important connection between all three locations. My wife is pure Hawaiian. She's a sixth great granddaughter of the first king of Hawaii, Kamehameha the Great, and she's a great grandniece of the last king and queen, King Kalakaua and Queen Liliuokalani. Her genealogy turns out to be another very important part of our operations. My wife served in the Army in the 1960s and is a Vietnam-era veteran. She's a graduate of the University of Hawaii and operates her own business in Hilo, Hawaii. I was born and raised in Michigan in the palm of the hand. My family moved to Southern California in 1964 and then moved to Northern California in 1966, where I finished high school and then went to college. I served in the Navy in the 1960s and am also a Vietnam-era veteran. I then served 23 years in the Air Force Reserve from the 1980s until the mid-2000s. I'm retired from an airline for over 8 years. In the last 35 years, I've been a pilot, and I've flown as a captain, a co-pilot, and a flight engineer. I've also been a flight instructor and an aircraft mechanic. I've worked for companies as a chief pilot and a director of operations. I've logged more than 30,000 hours of flight time in everything from a 2-seat Cessna 150 to the 10-seat Piper Navajo Chieftain and Beech 18s, to the 20-seat de Havilland Twin Otters, to the 180-seat McDonnell Douglas DC-8, to the 250-seat Boeing 767, the 300-seat Douglas DC-10, and to the 350-seat Lockheed L-1011. I'm also retired from a fire department of a major city on the West Coast. I worked for the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, as an aviation safety inspector between the fire department and the airline. All of my careers restricted me from having a full beard and long hair, but our sponsors say that it's necessary that I let my hair grow out, even though it's quite a nuisance. This is the second marriage for both my wife and myself. We'll celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary on March 25th, 2011. My wife has 6 children from her first marriage, and I have 4 children from my first marriage, plus we've been blessed with 22 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. As an airline pilot and as a fire captain, I've had to make quick and logical decisions because people's lives were often at stake. So I've had to have my feet planted firmly on the ground, and I'm one of the last people you'd expect to be involved in any kind of new age thinking. So even though I may not seem like the candidate for this job, my wife and I consider it a great honor and privilege to have been chosen to receive this information over the last 12 years. My wife and I have been given knowledge that is of critical importance to all mankind, and we're more than happy to share it with you. The subject of today's program is the imminent reversal of the direction of rotation of the planet Mars. In 1772, a German scientist by the name of Bode, Johann Bode, B-O-D-E, came up with a formula that helps to identify the orbits of the planets around our sun. It's a neat formula. It uses the numbers 3 and 4, and it's something anyone can remember. This is a good one for maybe winning some bar bets or for you students to get an A on a science project. But here's how it works. We start out with 0, and to that we add 3, and then we double. 3 becomes 6, 6 becomes 12, 12 becomes 24, 24 becomes 48, 48 becomes 96, and 96 becomes 192. And then to that we add 4. So we go plus 4, 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 and plus 4. We total them. Zero and 4 is 4. 3 and 4 is 7. 6 and 4 is 10. 12 and 4 is 16. 24 and 4 is 28. 48 and 4 is 52. 96 and 4 is 100. And 192 and 4 is 196. And then we take these numbers and we divide through by 10. So all you 4th graders know that means moving the decimal place 1 to the left. So 4 becomes 0.4, 7 is 0.7, 1.0, 1.6, 2.8, 5.2, 10, and 19.6. These are the distances of the planets from our sun in astronomical units. Now that sounds like a big word, but it's not hard. The distance of our Earth to the sun in miles is 93 million miles. But that's a big number, and astronomers don't like using big numbers, so they say, okay, that is 1 astronomical unit. The distance of our Earth to the sun is 1 AU. Well, we know our Earth is the third planet from the sun, so then the third planet down on this chart should be Earth, and it should be 1. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 1.0. Sure enough, the third planet from our sun is Earth, and it's 1 astronomical unit. Then we can go back and fill in the rest of the planets. The first planet from our sun is Mercury. The second planet is Venus. The third planet is Mars. This one we're going to leave blank. The next planet is Jupiter. The next planet is Saturn. And then the last one we'll leave blank. In 1772, the other astronomers of that time looked at Bode's chart and said, nice chart, but you've got 2 holes. They knew about these planets. They knew about the 5 besides Earth. They could see those with the naked eye. But there was a hole here and a hole here. Well, in 1781, someone discovered Uranus, which fits right here. And then in 1801, another astronomer discovered the largest of the asteroids, which name is Ceres. And it fits right there. So now Bode's chart made total sense. Let's see what it looks like in actual distances. Here are the actual distances of our planets from the sun in astronomical units. Mercury is 0.4, and on Bode's chart it's 0.4. Venus is 0.7, Bode says 0.7. Earth is 1. Mars is 1.5 in actual, Bode is 1.6. The asteroid belt is 2.8 and 2.8. Jupiter is 5.2 and 5.2. Saturn is 9.5, Bode says 10, that's pretty close. And Uranus is 19.2, Bode says 19.6. All in all, this chart is amazingly accurate. The question then becomes, what happened to the planet that should have been in this orbit between Mars and Jupiter? Today, all that's there are pieces of junk. It's the asteroid belt. Well, maybe we can figure out what happened. A few years ago, at a university back east, a student discovered there was a relationship between planets or objects orbiting other objects. For instance, the space shuttle orbits the Earth, and it flies in an orbit that takes it around the Earth once every hour and a half. So the space shuttle goes around the Earth 16 times a day. We have geosynchronous satellites that are much further out, and they take 24 hours to go around the Earth. They go around once a day. And in the case of geosynchronous, they stay directly overhead the entire time, so your dish antennas can be pointed at the same spot and pick up that satellite, even though it's actually orbiting, it's moving along with the Earth. Well, there's a relationship. The space shuttle goes around 16 times a day, it's closer in. The geosynchronous satellites go around once a day, they're further out. So the closer you are in to your parent body, the more times you go around. The same with the planets orbiting the sun. Let's say you're a little planet and you're going to start out right here at point 1, and you have a big sister who's starting out at the same place. In the time it takes you to get over here to point 2, your big sister has only gone this far. Time it takes you to get down here at point 3. Big sister's only gone this far. Time you get to point 4, big sister's only gone this far. And when you get back up to the starting point at point 5, your big sister is now halfway around. Then you start around a second time. You go to point 6, she goes to point 6. You go to point 7, she goes to point 7. You go to point 8, she goes to point 8. And when you get back up to the starting point, you've now rejoined her at the same place. Well, you can see a ratio here. For every 2 times you go around, she goes around 1 time. So the ratio is 2 to 1. Well, let's say your big sister is the largest of all the planets. Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. And in some solar systems, Jupiter would actually be a sun. It's so big. We are unusual because most other star systems have 2 suns, binary systems. We only have 1. And interestingly, in the movie 2010, the sequel to 2001, A Space Odyssey, Jupiter does become a sun. Great movie to watch. However, in the case of our Jupiter, she's just big. And if you're a little planet and you're approaching Jupiter, you're going to start to feel her pull as you come in. And then as you go underneath her, you're really going to feel her pull. And then as you depart, the pull kind of backs off. Well, that pull may cause a vibration. And we've seen what pulling can do. On our planet, our moon pulls the water. We hold the moon in orbit around us. We can't see any effect we have on the moon except that it stays in orbit. But our moon pulls our water and causes our tides. That's why we have 2 high tides every day as the water follows the moon as the Earth rotates. Well, that pulling may set up a vibration or a harmonic. And those of you that are my age may remember back in the 1970s and 80s, Memorex had a commercial starring Ella Fitzgerald where she sang a real high note. And in the process, a crystal wine glass exploded. And the question was, is it live or is it Memorex? Well, it's a Memorex commercial, so obviously it's Memorex. They were bragging about the quality of their tapes. But a woman can sing a high note and actually cause a glass to explode. The continual passing then of this little planet under Jupiter would have started to build up a vibration, a harmonic, and maybe after so many passes, something had to give. It was like each time the little planet passed Jupiter, you twisted a bungee cord. Each time it went by, the cord was twisted 2 times, and each time it departed, it backed off once. But the next time it was 2 more turns, and then backed off once, 2 more turns, and backed off once. And after several 100,000 passes, the bungee cord got super tight. And finally, something had to let go. And the planet exploded, just like the glass in the Memorex commercial. Well, the question is, what does that have to do with us? Luckily for us, we don't have any Jupiters as our neighbor. Our 2 neighbors are Venus and Mars. Mars is 2/3 the size of us. Venus is the same size as us. So none of the 3 of us could ever blow each other apart. But maybe we do something else to each other. Our Earth rotates counterclockwise, like this. The sun comes up in the east, and as we go under it, it then sets in the west. If you were to look at our planet from overhead, it would look like this, counterclockwise. Well, we're not alone. Mercury orbits counterclockwise. We go counterclockwise. Jupiter is counterclockwise. Saturn is counterclockwise. Uranus is kind of weird. Uranus rolls around the solar system like a marble, kind of lays on its side, and Neptune rotates counterclockwise. And all the planets that rotate counterclockwise have a north pole up on top, like so. The exceptions to counterclockwise are Venus, who is rotating clockwise, and the topic of this program is the reversal of the direction of rotation of the planet Mars. Mars right now is going counterclockwise, like all the others, but I'm here to tell you that Mars is going to go counterclockwise. At this time, Venus has a north pole that's on the bottom. When Mars goes clockwise, Mars' north pole will also be on the bottom. And if our two sister planets are both rotating clockwise, opposite of our current direction, it only stands to reason that we're next. So instead of blowing each other apart, the vibrations that we cause on each other cause us to reverse our direction of rotation. It's kind of like the pendulum of a big clock. The pendulum can only swing so far, and then it has to stop and go back the other way. In the case of our rotations, we can only go so far. We have to stop and then go back the other way. The consequences of the Earth coming to a full stop and then going back the other direction would be catastrophic. We'll talk about that in future programs. We've had many very smart men all through history, people like Aristotle, Plato, Galileo, Einstein, and Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, in fact, is considered the smartest man alive today. He's written several bestseller books. His first bestseller was A Brief History of Time, From the Big Bang to Black Holes. This came out in 1988. In 1993, he came out with Black Holes and Baby Universes, another bestseller. And then last year, in 2010, Professor Hawking came out with this book, The Grand Design. We'll talk about these books in future programs. But at the same time, Professor Hawking has become very controversial with some of his ideas. And brilliant men throughout history often did have ideas that were outside the box, we might say. Einstein may have had problems in the early years getting people to believe in his theories of relativity and other theories. But by the time World War II came around and Hiroshima and Nagasaki got nuked, Einstein's theories were then fully accepted. In the case of Stephen Hawking, he has stated recently that the only hope for mankind is to abandon the Earth. That has met with a lot of controversy. But just like all famous men, smart men, he's put his neck out there and believes the only hope is for us to abandon Earth. That's what these programs are about. We will mention Mr. Hawking several times in the next few programs. Hopefully we'll be able to convince you that he's right. So at this point, I'd like to wish you all aloha and a hui ho. Until next time.